Hi, welcome to my interview with Janine Driver, one of my best pals, and she's a world-renowned expert on body language. She's done TED Talks with over 3 million views and has written 2 best-selling books, and she's just this awesome human being that I can't wait to share with all of my followers out there. So Janine, first thing I want to talk about with you is this wearing the mask. When I'm in the grocery store, it's kind of freaking me out that I can't read body language without seeing the rest of the face. So what do you have to say about what we're going through right now as humans interacting with other humans? I know you've got to have some really cool insights into how bizarre this is.
A ton, Leslie. First of all, I love you. I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for including me. And a friend of mine, Chris Ulrich, another body language expert in DC, he lives in a condo in a building. And he said he went out a couple days ago and saw a neighbor of his, and he went up to him like, Mike, didn't touch him, but Mike, but had the mask on, and Mike immediately gave fear. You know, the only time we see people with masks is if you're being held up, you know, by being robbed. So it's creating this immediate fear when we see people, and it brings awareness to how important our faces are and body language, and how human beings are not meant to be two-dimensional on computer screens. We're made to see one another, to read our faces. It gives us indicator of if the person's happy, if they're not, if they're fearful, if they have ill intent. And most importantly, I think beyond the mask, Leslie, is handshakes. When we shake someone's hand, that's equivalent to 2 to 3 hours of building rapport with someone. And so now in this two-dimensional world we're interacting, of course, we're not wearing masks online, but we now would have to build rapport for 2 to 3 hours. No one has that kind of time. So how do you make the best out of this new online virtual world we have? And that's the big challenge, right?
Yeah, that's my question. What are we going to do? Because I'm kind of freaked out when I see someone in the store and I find I'm like smiling to people, right. And I'm like, wait a minute, that person has no idea that I just smiled to them. It's right. Very strange. And I'm thinking, are they reading it through my eyes, or are they reading it through my body language that I'm happy to see them? Or
well, I don't know if you know this. There's now masks. People are making masks. You see them on Etsy.com where they have the expression already on the face, which I think, you know, subconsciously we'll see that. And they make ones that are like crazy robbers, like with angry faces. That's the last thing you want to do. You want to find a face that's like a happy face. I bought a pack of happy faces that are coming in the mail for me. So that, not scary happy, like, you know, crazy clown movie happy, but just a little smile. And the power of doing something that simple will change how people, you know, are receiving you when they meet you. It's scary, but it's not really a solution yet. We're in uncharted waters here.
Right. Okay. So the next question has to do with, we've now moved into this two-dimensional reality. Everyone's doing Zoom calls. Elderly people are learning how to do them for the first time. A lot of businesses are conducting meetings this way. How do we get across on this two-dimensional thing? How can we do the best body language to convey what we want to say to people? I know you're holding your chin right now, which is a sign of intelligence, so that I know. And that too, yeah.
I have several tips for you, Leslie. One is, you know, emotional intelligence is, if I boil down emotional intelligence very quickly, would be self-awareness, social awareness, self-adaptation, and then can you motivate others to be the best version of themselves? And if you notice, the first thing I said is self-awareness. And what many people do not realize is because we're under all this stress and anxiety, working from home, our kids are from home, or you're self-isolating and you don't have people in the house, you're by yourself, is that we get into this negative way of thinking. And as soon as you get into this negative way of thinking, the blood is leaving your neocortex part of the brain, going down to this mammalian part of the brain and down to your brainstem into this fight or flight anxiety. And we know as a fact that when the blood rushes out of this part of your brain, your thinking part, you no longer make smart decisions. So people are showing up, their face is throwing a party, people are thinking people are disgusted, or they're contemptuous, or they're fearful, but it's other stress in the house. So the first thing that we need to do, and a big mistake we do, maybe before I give you this tip, is a lot of people are not showing up. They just put their little visual of their face or their name in a still during these meetings. That's the biggest mistake you're making right now. That's like me being in an in-person meeting with you and sitting here like this during the meeting with all my coworkers, my clients, and saying, yeah, I'm open to any feedback you have, any thoughts that you have. I'm totally open to hearing any questions you have. And you're not being present. So because we can't interact in the sense of smell and touch and handshakes, it is critical you slap a face on, even if you fake smile, and it influences your happiness by the time you get off the call. And here's the biggest tip. If you simply take a deep breath. A friend of mine is a woman named Lisa Genova, Dr. Lisa Genova. She's a neuroscientist that graduated from Harvard. We went to high school together. She wrote a book called Still Alice. Still Alice is on early set Alzheimer's. It was then turned into a movie, Julianne Moore. Did you see this movie?
Yeah, it's great.
She won an Oscar, Julianne Moore, for this movie. So I called Lisa Genova and I said, okay, this new virtual reality and the stress anxiety, what's the biggest tip you have, neuroscientist from Harvard? And she said, you need to breathe. I go, what do you mean? So when we go into this perpetual stress, right? So regular stress dumps, the lion is coming at us or the tiger's coming at us. Adrenaline dumps into our body. And adrenaline makes us go like this, right? You're running from the tiger. Or we do the opposite of flight. We do freeze. So you see the tiger or the bear and you're like, and you literally forget to breathe. So if we just simply before every webinar, every online meeting, every Zoom, every go-to meeting, if you simply beforehand take even one deep breath, hold for 4 and out for 4, even if you're not into yoga, meditation, all that stuff, just take a deep breath. What Lisa explained to me is that it tricks the brain. The body can trick the brain. And so it says, oh, I must not be in fight or flight right now or freeze response, because I, A, am taking a breath, B, I'm not breathing like this, right? And we take slow, deep breaths when everything is okay. And what happens is after the adrenaline rushes through our body, in comes this stress hormone we've all heard of called cortisol, right? And it creates this negative feedback loop. If we're constantly, perpetually in stress, Lisa explained that we're never getting out of this environment in our brain and our body. So you need to trick your brain by taking a slow, deep breath before you get on the call. So you're present. That's the most important tip that you can do. Now, I spoke to a guy named Dr. Christian Conte. He goes into jails with high violent criminals, murderers, right? Rapists, murderers, all these bad people. Well, not bad people, people who did really bad things. And his biggest tip was, we're doping up right now. I have my protein drink here mixed with water. We're doping up on caffeine, whether it is Coke, whether it is these protein drinks or these energy drinks. And what he explained to me is that when we get doped up on caffeine, because we're not sleeping well, your body is now drinking all this caffeine. Well, that now I never knew this, Leslie, this now influences our brain. So just like our body's getting high energy from all this caffeine, your brain starts running rapidly. So he said, now we're like, maybe I said the wrong thing. Shouldn't I have said that? Maybe I didn't contribute enough. Is this the right meeting? Am I in the right call? Oh my gosh, I'm 2 minutes late. Oh my gosh, should I have done that? Can they see my pajama bottoms? Because I'm wearing pajamas. And just like your physical body begins to race, your brain starts to race. So what we need to do in the beginning of these calls, if you know you've doped up on caffeine, you need to say in this webinar, hey, I just want to let you know I'm totally doped up on caffeine. I had 2 protein drinks because they have vitamin C in them and I don't have any vitamin C vitamins. Right. So I doped up on 3 protein drinks, but my caffeine's through the roof. So if I seem a little hyper, it's that. That way you address the issue right up front because your body is having a conversation with your brain and vice versa. Does that make sense? So yeah. Deep breath, let people know where you're at. I've got to tell you, I don't know where else you want to go on it because I can go a million places. What's next, sister?
Well, what's really important, what you just said there, is that a lot of times right now, women don't want to show their face because they can't get their hair done. And that's why they're just putting the still photo. But you're saying put it up anyway because it's actually really damaging for your career and for the meeting to not be showing your face. That was hugely important.
Hands down. So think about rapport, right? Rapport is people like themselves. I do these online webinars and I have 50 people in them. And when I'm taking questions and I'm talking to them, I'm looking at my screen and I'm engaging with the people who are looking and nodding yes and taking notes and looking back up. And I immediately, when I go to call, if someone has a question, I'm like, Leslie, go ahead. Because I've bonded and connected. I see that you're engaged. I see that you're present. Be careful. A lot of people are on these meetings and they're also going like this. And they're
Oh,
down
I see
here.
that, that's a lot. I see that a lot.
You have to pretend. You have to trick your brain and pretend that you are in a physical meeting with someone, and you have to be present. Otherwise, you may find yourself without a job.
That's really important. I notice a lot of people are looking down all the time. And I can say as a teacher doing webinars as well, I love the interaction. I love people whose face is full frontal. I can communicate with them. And should we, I guess on these Zoom calls, are we supposed to be looking at the little green light at the top or?
Well, it's tough. I try to sometimes do that, but while you're talking to me, I'm looking at your beautiful face and I'm engaging with my friends. So I think that people are forgiving of this particular element of whether I look directly at the camera or I look at you.
Right.
What people are not going to be forgiving of is like, because
it feels rude.
Well, Harvard did a big study, Leslie, that we lose attention 50% of a conversation. We're not engaged. They created an app and they asked people on the app, what are you currently doing? And you wrote down what it was, but what are you currently thinking of? And what they found out is 50% of the time we're distracted. The people running the meetings, the biggest mistake they're making is if you talk more than 10 minutes, and you've lost them. Every 10 minutes you have to engage with the audience. Even in webinars, people are asking me to do these webinars. I did one for a big client, Kronos. It's really, the value is you're not going to get your bang for your buck if the clients can't interact. How they set it up was, oh no, they're going to send you questions and answers later and you can send a follow-up. But what you don't understand, after 5-10 minutes, people have tuned me out. So I try to do, what I do is when I do a webinar, I create games inside the webinar, A or B. Which one is fear versus surprise?
Right.
Write down your answer, A or B. You know, the next one. And then I give the answer. So at least they are engaging, even if they're not talking directly with me. Does that make sense?
That's perfect. That's great. Got two other questions for you. Number one, I have a client who just recently told me that she's in business as a female, and because she looks petite and soft and she has a very soft voice, if a person can't help their physical appearance or the tone of their voice, what do you do to counteract that? Because I thought people who have weaker voices, I don't know if that's the right word, but not powerful, how do they compensate for that in terms of what their body is doing when they're communicating with people?
First of all, what a great question. Second of all, this is her time to shine because we can't see her size. So her power can come across. I started our time together like this, excuse me. When we steeple people, we intimidate people. So she could be steepling. A big mistake people are doing right now is they're doing these webinars like this, and all you're seeing is their face. It is critical that we see your hand gestures. So now what I'm noticing is some people, they also go way far away, so they're nowhere near their computer. This is also not what we should be doing. So what you need to do to your client who's more petite and has a softer speaking voice is you want your computer slightly higher. So for me, I don't know if you can see, but it's on a basket right here. And then I even have a pot that I put on top of my basket. And so I'm still close to the computer. So I forgot to put my pot up here. Okay.
So the computer is looking down at you.
Yes.
That makes everyone look
at the difference compared to where I was just talking to you a second ago, the first half of our conversation versus now seeing my hand gestures.
This is much better.
It's 1,000 times better, right? So it's a great before and after. So TED Talk, a study was done on TED Talks, same topic. However, one TED Talk's watched by a couple hundred people, one is watched by millions. And the only difference, same topic, say how to get along better with your loved ones. So the only difference was the people who watched the TED Talk with 3 million views, they had more hand gestures than the people who didn't. So if you just simply make sure, so for me, again, I have this, I'm gonna unplug my computer. I have this little wicker basket that I took off a toy shelf, and then I put my pot here. The reason I had the pot down is I'm doing this bead exercise with my kids. So now I have it at a downward angle, and now I'm present. I'm literally here. We are attracted, especially because we're losing attention. The study at Harvard found the three ways we lose attention the most: driving a car in a route we've always driven to before, on a computer, and work. Well, now work and computer, it's a double whammy. It is critical that it doesn't matter your size, even your tone of voice. If she's softer speaking, it's actually a blessing today because it becomes what I call the whisper pose. When
Oh,
someone is speaking softer, it makes people engage more
hey,
and
lean in.
they lean in. So make sure you're seeing your hand gestures. Get your computer not far away, but higher up and slightly at an angle. Look at the difference as I begin to talk. Palm down, palm out gestures are sincerity. So when I'm talking, I'll be like, hey, Leslie, that's a good question. I'm glad that you asked me that. So engage with your hand gestures.
That was unbelievable. I'm gonna get my hands going here. All right, last question. I think you are one of the most positive and intelligent women I've ever met in my life, and you know that I absolutely adore you. So there are a lot of people right now who are really suffering. They are out of work. They have absolutely no idea how to reinvent themselves. Just wondering, like from a spiritual point of view, what do you have to say to people like that? I just think you're just so wise that, what would you say to people who are feeling that way right now?
Oh my gosh, I have so many things to say. You're not alone. I'm in your shoes. I make my money by being a keynote speaker. I'm a mother of 3 sons. Angus is 14, Charlie is 6, Jack is 5. My husband and I were seeing a mediator in January because I asked him for a divorce, and in the state of Virginia, you have to be separated for a year. We ended up I rented a townhouse for him. So when he has our 3 sons, they have their own place. I'm in charge because I was the breadwinner of paying for that rent. I pay for my mortgage, I'm paying for my husband's rent, and I'm paying for my office rent. So this totals combined 10 grand a month. I make my money as a keynote speaker. Every event has been postponed or canceled. No one is bringing in outside speakers for webinars just yet. Very few companies. They're figuring out still how to navigate this work from home world. So I'm there. Listen, I would love to say I had tons of money saved up and I'm smart and I could pull from my kids' savings for their college education. I don't have any of that stuff, sadly. And it's a great wake-up call for me. I'm a very positive person. I'm not knocking people who applied for the Small Business Administration loans and all that. When this happened and it all went down and everyone started canceling, I lost $280,000 in a 2-week period of contracts I was negotiating. And it sounds like a lot of money, but I pay a lot of people and I lost it all. So I was at one point down to negative $4,200, and that was for a week. And I had to write to my kids' schools and because they go to private Christian schools. And I'm like, we're in a financial crisis. So I've been in your shoes. You're not alone. What I'll share with you is this. Your attitude is a choice. It is 100% a choice. They know as a fact, lottery, you win the lottery for millions of dollars, or you go crippled and now you are paraplegic, right? God forbid, you're in a car accident, you become a paraplegic. 12 months after both of these realities happen, these 2 individuals are at the same level of happiness 12 months later. So it is a choice. So for me, I reframe it. My mother would always say, she's since passed, cancel, cancel. So anytime I say something negative, I'm like, cancel, cancel. Do you know Marines are literally trained the value of self-talk. So when the Marines come up and the Navy SEALs come up and they're washed up on the beach and they're being shot at, do you know what they say? I am built for this. I am made from this, for this. I am a human being that has been trained to survive. I've been through difficult things before and I could do it again. I am amazing. For me, I'm Christian, so I say God knows me by name and he knows this is for my greater good. He's working miracles beyond what I could ever imagine right now. And I come from a place of gratitude. Think of something you're grateful for. And I'll tell you this last story. Rosie O'Donnell, and I heard this in my 20s. Rosie O'Donnell, the comedian who later had her own TV show for a while. Whether you like Rosie or you don't, here's what I heard years ago. I'm 49. She said, everyone in her family told her, Leslie, you have to get a college education. What happens if stand-up comedy doesn't work out? Like you need some, by the way, see this hand gesture? What happens if stand-up doesn't work out? You're engaged and I'm pulling you into a story because you're seeing my nonverbals. Imagine if I'm like this. Rosie's family said, what happens if this college education doesn't work out? The power of looking at these nonverbals. So what if it doesn't work out? And this is what Rosie O'Donnell said, and it changed my life forever. And hopefully the people who are struggling, this will change your life. She said, because I don't have a safety net either, right? I didn't have any finances saved up and I'm a mother. It's embarrassing. And I'm a New York Times bestselling author. I'm on television shows. It's embarrassing. So Rosie said, I don't want to have a backup plan. She said, I want you to imagine I'm on a boat in the middle of the ocean and the boat sinks. If I have a life preserver, I have a float, or I have a little teeny blow up raft, the effort I'm going to put to get on this, from this raft to finding an island in safety, is not going to be the same effort as if I have nothing. If my boat has sank and I'm in the middle of the ocean and I have nothing. You are built for resilience. You are built. You are a human being. You are built for resilience. Think of what had to happen. A sperm had to shoot up out of your dad's private parts into your mom. Like, the miracle. You are a miracle. You have done the impossible to get here on planet Earth. You have gone through tons of stuff prior to this. And know what? If you're in the situation that I've been in, and so many other millions of us are in right now, and you don't have a life raft, congratulations. You will come out 10 times. It's literally called a hero's journey. So your homework from me is A, reframe, start saying cancel, cancel. B, no, if you don't have a life raft, congratulations. You'll get to the island faster than the person that has that safety net. You'll come out better and stronger. And watch the movie called Finding Joe. It's for free right now. They've posted it online for free, Finding Joe, based on the philosopher Joseph Campbell. And what he talks about is his hero's journey. You are not at your end of your rope. You are not nothing. You are not stupid. You're not irresponsible. You are on your hero's journey. Life was great. You ate out every night. You had a great lifestyle, dressing fancy cars that you may not be able to pay for now. And now, boom, the coronavirus comes. You're on a hero's journey. Congratulations. Because what happens on the other end of the hero's journey? Think about it. Star Wars, right? Luke is finally, life is great. Finally, Luke is about to kill Darth Vader. It's the end of the story, right? Darth Vader says what? Dude, I'm your dad. Oh, got it out. Life is so great. And then Darth Vader says, dude, I'm your dad. Oh, shit. Where do I go from here? You have just been told Darth Vader is your dad. Where do you go from here? The series doesn't end there, folks. So just know you're on that hero's journey. Watch Finding Joe. I promise it'll be the best gift you can give yourself. And I'm going to tell you, Leslie, the best thing I do every single day, I'm not saying I don't cry or get nervous or bite all my fingernails off because of anxiety, but I read a book every day and I do mind maps on them. This is Harvard Business Review. These are all the data I'm learning about emotional intelligence. I read last night before I went to bed. I did 2-page mind map on how to turn your arch enemy into your ally, and learned about the power, the secret power of the 3 R's. Maybe we'll talk about that another time.
Oh, I would love to do that.
Keep your brain growing. I had a great conversation. I have a live-in au pair from Argentina. I taught her the 3 R's this morning, or last night before I went to bed. And then this morning we talked about it. Hypothetically, using these 3 R's, she's not even my arch enemy. She's family to us, right? She's been with us for 9 months. I taught her the 3 R's and I gave a hypothetical situation. From this hypothetical, her and I came up with a plan that's going to change her last 6 months while she's with us and change our experience with one another, just from hypothetically using it. So train your brain, learn something new. If you're not familiar with Udemy, udemy.com, you can take classes there. I'm taking one on emotional intelligence. I think it cost me $30. And if you have a skill set, you create a program and put it on udemy.com. My au pair wants to teach classes in English and teach people how to speak Spanish. And I go, create a course right now. I went online, I saw a course on how to speak Spanish, very simple course. The guy sold, I think it was like 320,000 versions of his course. It was $20. Udemy takes half. So the guy made over $500,000 selling this course. So you need to reinvent yourself right now. Congratulations, you're on your hero's journey. So that would be my advice. I'm reinventing myself. I created a program online. You can find out more about it and get some free stuff at my website, which is my name, JanineDriver.com. I'm big on putting a whole bunch of free stuff out there. If you want to work with me one-on-one, I do a 7-week course every week live, and you can find out all that stuff. You don't have to buy that though. Just go check it out, JanineDriver.com. If I can help you in any way, shoot me an email, Janine@JanineDriver.com, and I'll help you. But you don't really need anyone else. You were made exactly the way God wants you to be made, and pull yourself up. The impossible has happened for you to be here on this planet. The impossible has happened. You got this. So it's just reframing your brain.
There's a great quote from Moshe Feldenkrais. He said, it's all about making the impossible possible, the possible easy, and the easy elegant.
Say it again.
It's about making the impossible possible, the possible easy, and the easy elegant.
So nice.
Is that beautiful? There's something about getting to that place of gentle flow. That's what elegance is. And when we're in a place of elegance, we're breathing, we're calm. It's a word we don't use that often, but I think it's a great place to aspire to, especially right now.
I love it. You know, I want to say it's not that I don't complain. I cleaned my kid's fish tank. I did not want to do it. It was way too, you know, it should have been cleaned 4 months ago. And I didn't want to do it. And all I did is you can complain all you want, just keep moving. Just be 1% better every single day. Keep taking that next step. So I'm getting the filter out. It was gross, and I'm putting it in a pot, and I'm getting the fish and moving it, and I had to siphon out the hose. I'm like, I do not want to be doing this. I hate this. I'm disgusted. This is gross. I already showered this morning. Now I'm covered in fish poop. Like, I do not want, and I just kept walking. Remember, an object in motion stays in motion. An object in rest stays at rest. Your job is to just simply stay in motion. Whether you are learning something, creating a mind map, reading a book, going for a walk, move your body, move your mind. An object at rest stays at rest. Get out of bed, you know, complain all you want, just keep taking steps towards your hero's journey and what's on the other end. That's my tip.
Thank you. You're awesome. We will do this again.
You're awesome.
I knew you would have great things to share with everybody, and we're going to do this again soon, okay?
Yes. All right, kiddo. Bye. Love you. Next time, I want to see your hand gestures.
Oh, yeah. I got to change my camera here.
You got to have you lift up a little bit. Thanks for doing this to people. You're such a gift to all of us. I love you. And for people who don't know you personally, you are the real deal. Who people see on the other end of the screen is a splash of your true magnificence. And if I'm going to give you a shout out, Google this lovely woman, Leslie McCurk, and put in TED Talk and watch your TED Talk.
Thank you.
It's inspiring. You're awesome, man.
The importance of being wrong.
Importance of being wrong.
All right. Thanks, Janine.
Bye, everybody.